Hello, you are live on the Agenda on Campus TV, your most authoritative political platform that provides a space for activists to contribute their quota towards national development from the educational perspective. I remain your favorite host, Frederick Brooks. You can also follow us on our social media handles at campus.tv on Instagram and also Campus TVGH on Facebook and Campus TV on YouTube. We are live here at Nuertey University. I will be taking a short breather. Right after the breather, I will introduce to you my guests for today. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere. So we are still live on the Agenda on Campus TV. We have wonderful personalities in the studios today. I have Mr. Elliot and Mr. Patrick. We have Mr. Patrick Afeavo. He is actually the former team president of Pantine School of Nursing and also a blogger and a communicator of the NDC. That's very necessary. We also have Mr. Elliot Nuertey, a former radio host of Leadership Focus and also an NPP communicator and also the chief executive officer of the Scribes. I mean, anything writing, he will do that for you. But today we are not talking about writing, we are talking about politics. We are talking about governance. I think with our first topic, we are going to deal with corruption. I mean, people are agitating, even in the neutral, landscape of our politics. People are saying that both NDC and NPP are both corrupt. But then when you meet an NPP communicator, he will try so hard, without struggling, to tell you that NDC is the most corrupt party ever in the history of Ghana. NDC will also tell you the same thing about the NPP. But today we have two gentlemen here to settle the scores. Mr. Patrick, I'll begin from you. How do you assess how this government, is fighting corruption? Are you impressed?
First of all, let me say a very good evening to your viewers and your listeners all over Ghana. And I say a very good evening to my people from the Agotimen's constituency in the Volta region.
That's right.
And I say a very good evening to them. I want to tell them that very soon, the owner of hope in Ghana, the restorer of everything, the Ayebida John Dramani Mahama, the Abba Biu, which means will be coming again, will be reinstated as the President of the Republic of Ghana, and he will take us to the promised land he promised us. He was in the region some few days ago, and he promised us a lot of things in my constituency, Agotimen's constituency. And we are hoping that the good people of Ghana will buy into our agenda, the People's Manifesto, and vote for us come December 7, 2020. Okay, now let me come back to the issue of corruption. In the Fourth Republic, one of the biggest headache of every government is corruption. Government in, government out, we've tried our possible best to stop corruption. And the way you go about corruption even shows how serious you are about the fight of corruption. Nobody goes about corruption increasing positions of people who are being corrupt. Nobody fights corruption jubilating with people who are being corrupt. I won't be here and pretend as if I'm never corrupt. But there is no way you can influence me as a government appointee with money or anything, because I work with my principles. When you come to the Fourth Republic, there is no government that is more corrupt than the Nana Akufo-Addo government. Wow. We have governments like the Rawlings government, we have the Kufuor government, Mahama government, Mills government. But compare all of them, there are series of corruption allegations and scandals in their various governments. But come to where we are today, we have a lot of corruption scandals in the country. Talk of the PDS scandal, you talk of the Bosgate scandal, you talk of the Tor scandal, talk of the Galamsey scandal, where we are yet to see how this issue will land us. You talk of the Australia visa scandal, where this country, a whole country, is being disgraced by a few because of what they will get into their pockets. Today they are on the street of Accra, they are on the street of the country, walking freely. Why? Because the chief corruption clearing agent is the one in
and who is that?
Who doesn't know? You go to Makola Market, you go to Malata Market, you go to Madina Market and you ask who is the chief clearing agent in terms of corruption, they will tell you it's Mr. Nana Addo.
His Excellency.
His Excellency Nana Addo.
Yeah.
This issue of corruption, I don't know why we've taken it personal, like you want to compare the administration of John Dramani Mahama to the administration of Nana Akufo-Addo in terms of corruption. You can't compare the two.
But the NPP has also made a case that a lot of these things are just rumors, allegations, and just blanket lies to paint the NPP black. The classic example is the case of the Australian visa fraud you just stated about Pius Hajide. That stated that the CID boss division, the CID division of the Ghana police had exonerated them, the former deputy minister of sports, that he was cleared of no wrongdoing. And today you are still here talking about it. I'm a bit confused.
When we talk about corruption, we talk about how you fight it.
Okay.
The corruption allegations in Mahama's government was just mere allegations, but he was able to investigate into them and found people culpable and even prosecute them.
But we know the Jida boss had been in prison. Yes.
He has been in prison by his own...
because he was corrupt.
Yes, accepted. That's why I said from the beginning that you can't come into power thinking that you have no appointee who will be corrupt.
Catching the fish, instead of
listen, let's be real here. Let's be real. Pius Enam Hajide is a classical case of corruption walking about in this country.
And why is he not facing prosecution?
No, what is more evidential than your own minister saying that you, the deputy minister who serves under him, you are corrupt and you are part of those who went to Australia to disgrace the country?
Okay.
Who is the current sports minister in Ghana? Is it Honorable Isaac Asiama?
Sure.
He said it categorically that his deputy, Pius Enam Hajide, he was the mastermind behind the corruption. He decided to pack people who were not journalists. This issue bothers you. Are you not a journalist? We were disgraced internationally. This is not an issue of being disgraced. Let's say we are even in Ghana. This is an international disgrace brought to the country. He was the mastermind. The minister himself said it. We were in this country, then the president came to tell us, Mr. Nonado came to tell us that, he is investigating the issue. And there is a document that clears Pius Enam Hajide of the corruption doing and the other things in Ghana. Have you seen the document before?
No.
Can you show me the document?
Have you requested for the document?
No, many people. We are not the first discussing this issue.
Have you requested for the document?
Pius Enam Hajide's integrity is at stake. This is not an issue of me and you discussing him. His integrity is at stake.
But he's holding a public office.
Yes, that's why the report must be made public for all of us to see. You can't keep the report in your office. A so-called report, which I know there is no report that clears Pius of any wrongdoing, because we all know he was part of the wrongdoing. His minister also pointed out to all of us that he was the mastermind of the corruption scandal that happened at Australia.
Wow.
So where is the document? You don't just talk. If you talk, you need to provide evidence. Well, no. Were journalists deported from Australia to Ghana? At the Australia Games, were they deported?
Go on.
They were deported. So if you say there is no corruption that happened, Pius walking about this classical case of corruption. If the government have a respect for the people that voted for him, he wouldn't have sent Pius around on TV errands to be communicating for the party, because he is there as a complete case of corruption in this country.
Okay, so let me get to Elliot. Elliot, prior to 2016 election, one of the teams, the general public, was singing was the fact that NDC was corrupt and Nanado was the new hope of the country. And Nanado had also given a prior notice to government appointees. I heard that whenever he comes into power, whoever is found culpable will be dealt with. Constitutionally within the premise of the law. Now we've seen cases where the NDC has made a case that people are being found of wrongdoing and the president is supporting them. The president has not taken any criminal prosecution or has not forwarded any case to the AG to investigate such people. Looking at the case Patrick is making on the show concerning Honorable Pius Hajide Enam, stating that he was found culpable in the Australian visa fraud scandal, but then to date we've not seen any report from the CID stating whether he is cleared of any wrongdoing. What do you make of such incidents?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to talk on this particular show, especially to express my opinion on pertinent issues that is happening in this country. First of all, it was not surprising that prior to the 2016 election, you have Ghanaians singing the praises of Akufo-Addo, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, because till now, no one can point a finger at him and, let me say, allocate a corruption deed or a corruption act to him. Till now, he has never been culpable. Till now, he has never been culpable for any corruption deed in this country. I would also move on. I would also move on.
He was quiet when we were talking, so
thank you very much. I would also move on to say that it is never wrong for you to be accused. However, it is wrong for you to be convicted of a crime. The mere fact that Pius Adija has been involved in a corruption scandal does not make him corrupt. That is why in a constitutional country where the rule of constitutional rule is applied like Ghana, we have laid down procedures in doing things. So you cannot say that someone is a thief until the person is proven. Even if you find the stolen items in the person's hand, until a competent court of jurisdiction has pronounced a verdict on the person to be corrupt, you have no say to say that. And even if you feel that the person is corrupt, and then upon investigation, that person has been exonerated of whatever allegations is or are against him, you can never tag the person with a crime or with an act of corruption.
But looking at a classic case of Elvis Efrianka, Mr. Elvis Efrianka, where the then, New Patriotic Party was in opposition, agitating, demonstrating the fact that he should be relieved of his position. I'm not sure there was, a competent court of, jurisdiction that stated that he should be relieved of his position. But then it was clear. And you see, politicians make us understand, or political scientists make us understand that corruption, you don't need any court to prove that someone is corrupt. Sometimes they are very, clear for us to see, to tell that this person is corrupt. Yes. Are you saying that because there is no court to settle, the case of corruption, until a court comes in, we can't relieve someone of his position? Because there are cases where it's institutionalized. Institutions come up with people stating that the general manager of BOST is corrupt. When we went to the board meeting, we found out that this money was lost from the budgets or whatever that they did.
Great.
Are you saying that we can't follow these structures to arrive at such a consensus?
Great. That is why I stated in my initial statement that it is not wrong for anyone to agitate. It is not wrong for anyone to protest. And then the court of public opinion is also not wrong. However, in a country where people are appointed and then given letters of appointment, you cannot sack them based on the views or the verdict of public opinion. You must make sure that they pass through, lay down procedures. So a sector minister of state is appointed by the president, and then the 1992 constitution stipulates reasons, stipulates situations under which that person can be sacked from office. Now, if you feel that person has breached any of those rules and regulations stipulated by the 1992 constitution, the best thing to do is to try him by the laws that appointed him. And then after that, if that is not done, then we can carry on, or we can go on to say that, well, we all saw the procedures. The law was tried on him when we felt he was wrong. And from what went on, or from the procedure that was employed to prove the innocence or to establish how guilty the person is, we are not satisfied with the process, and we still want to continue to tag the person as corrupt. I would agree with that. But to say that someone is corrupt even after the person has been tried by a committee that is not just made up of members of the ruling party or friends of the accused, but a committee that is made up of people from diverse political backgrounds, people from diverse economic backgrounds.
I think following Patrick's premise on the fact that a home minister, accused his deputy minister of wrongdoing. We can say that the whole Ministry of Sports is an institution on its own. You are talking about structures. These are laid down structures. I'm sure Mr. Isiama Aden did not just wake up one morning and make that kind of allegation.
Great.
They had board meeting and everything before he was able to arrive at such a premise.
Now I had wanted to touch on that issue, but thank God you brought me there. Now, he was under investigation because he led the team that disgraced Ghana. You get it? And in our democracy, we practice what we call collective responsibility. So if a group is in charge of a project, and then that group is found to be guilty, the head of that group must account for it, just like the least person in that group. You get it? So it is not surprising that Pius will be, aligned with this particular, the Australia scandal. It's not surprising. Now, I find it amusing that Patrick would mention that a sector minister accused his deputy. Is that what you've not heard in this country? Now, let's go back to when the late president, John Evans Atamos, was alive. He placed the former president, then his vice president, under investigation when they had to procure 2 presidential private jets for the Ghana Army, and also that could also be used by the presidency. So this is not something new. The mere fact that someone is saying that...
What was the outcome of the investigations then?
Good, thank you for asking me. Now, Martin Amidu, who then was the Attorney General for the government, stated that, and you can find this on martinamidu.com. That is his blog, and then that post is still there. He said that the late President John Evans Atamos overlooked things and was blind to it, so justice was not served. Now, looking at who Martin Amidu is and how we have come to associate him with justice and then the fight against corruption, if he says, and he published it, that the president then overlooked things and did not see to it that justice prevailed, then it gives me the indication, someone looking from afar, that probably it could be that John Dramani Mahama was culpable, but because he was vice president, and then because to save face, the president allowed certain things to roll out. You can check this. Let's
the name of the special prosecutor.
Great.
The NDC is stating that you are just using Mr. Martin Amidu, and that is why his office is under-resourced. And as I mean, circulated in the media, Mr. Martin Amidu granted interviews stating that he wasn't even having a secretary, even fax machine, a printer or whatever to, call it. He wasn't having all these resources. How can you establish such an office to fight corruption for the entirety of the country without resourcing it in this manner?
Well, first of all, I would like to make it clear to people that the 2 scenarios I gave are in 2 different regimes. Now, the first one, where I stated that Martin Amidu posted on his blog that the president then, the late John Evans Atamos, had overlooked certain things such that justice was not served, was when Martin Amidu, was serving as the Minister of Justice or the Attorney General under the administration of the Mills. You get it? So this is not a situation that, of he has been empowered. That is why he's saying things against the NDC. Now, back to what you were saying, that the office of the special prosecutor was established and yet it is lacking. It is very true. I think in the first year of his administration, or in the first year of his service as a special prosecutor for the country, he was lacking some of this. He didn't have a budget. He didn't even have a place he could call his office complex. He didn't have his secretary. He didn't have even a security person aside his own bodyguard. But I think I don't recall the exact year, but a budget was allocated to him. A board was formed for the office of the special prosecutor. So I think for now that has been solved, and he is trying some processes. Now let me get back to what Patrick had said earlier
the studio is coming with us, so we'll be taking a short breather. Because I would like to respectfully beg, we are taking a short breather. They are not cooperating, so I'm leaving them. We are taking a short breather. Right after the breather, we'll go on with the issues that we are discussing as a house. I've been having Mr. Patrick and Elliot in the studios. It's been very interactive and it's been very political. It's getting to the higher pace, and now I think we have to. We don't have any option than to run away, take a short breather, and come back. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. So we are still live on the agenda on Campus TV, your most authoritative political platform. Before we took the short breather, we're having a very tensioned studio. You can see Mr. Patrick and Mr. Elliot were even exchanging words before we took the short breather. We're still talking on corruption. I think Elliot was making a premise. I would allow you, I think within 5 minutes or 3 minutes to finish that premise. Then I think Patrick will be giving That's graceful, to also make some additional comments to that effect. Then we move towards another topic.
Well, Brooks, I don't have an issue with you giving Patrick time to come back and then let me say redeem himself. But what I have to do is clear the air on some things that he has said. Now, he made mention of the fact that the PDS scandal has been left unsettled. He has talked about Galamsey. He has also talked about the Australia deal, and then I'm sure he almost mentioned the Anas expose, and then we went on break. But if he's saying this, and I don't know if it's as a result of not being well informed or he's just trying to play the devil's advocate. Now let's pick the issues one after the other. If we look at PDS, the president was clear about the fault of his government. He said he was misled by his sector minister then, Honorable Boakye Jakun, which led to the president firing him. When it comes to
Yes, but then would you be happy if it's your time to talk? He apologized.
Well, thank you very much for reminding me. You are right. PDS wasn't Honorable Boakye Jakun. Thank you for correcting me. Whichever way, like you said, John Peter Amewu, is he still there? He's not there.
He's still the Minister of Energy.
Is he still there?
He's still the Minister of Energy till today. John Peter Amewu is still the Minister of Energy. See, listen. This issue.
I have a competent production who can confirm this.
They should confirm it. John Peter Amewu is still the Energy Minister of Ghana as we speak today. He is the parliamentary candidate for the NPP and the Hawkward Central.
That is not under contention. Let me move on. Let me move on to I think
my producers, please, can you make a fast fact check on that to ascertain whether Honorable Peter Amewu is still the Minister of Energy. So I think I just received some notice from my producers. After the fact checking, they stated that Honorable Peter Amewu is still the Minister of Energy. I think that vindicates. That would be the case.
Are still working in government.
I'm sure it's a clear oversight. I'm sure it's an oversight.
He's surprised the man is still at post because this man is a classical example of corruption. He was part of the Galamsey deal. He was the same person part of the PDS deal.
I Elliot should be given the opportunity to finish.
Your 5 minutes is up. You are still giving more time to talk.
Our viewers can see how happy he is that this error of mine has led to an establishment of his, but I don't believe you can take that credit. It is normal that people make in this kind of heated argument. But what I was saying is that almost every issue he mentioned here is either under investigation or has been settled.
For how long are we going to investigation these things?
For how long are we going to investigate this? So far as it is,
you have 30 seconds to go.
So far as it is in the crucial judicial process to be settled, I think we have to allow the lay down procedures to take care of it. Now, if you want to compare corruption scandals in these two administrations, the Mahama administration and then the Nado administration, it is something that we shouldn't even go there, because we can start by looking at collective corruption scandals under the Mahama administration and even look at individual ones. If you would permit me time, I would lay down.
Yeah, so I think you'll be given opportunity to talk again. Mr. Patrick, you've been interrupting. Mr. Elliot, I don't know whether it will be fair for him to also keep interrupting you, but then you now have opportunity to make your premises right. Your take on corruption. The government's position on corruption.
You are a very good journalist. I respect.
I really appreciate it.
When we come on shows like this, you make sure you time the people very well. You've given the whole day to him to speak on corruption. You see, he can't defend his own people. He said telling us that the Minister of Energy is no more there. That means he is even convinced within himself that the Minister of Energy must be facing prosecution by now.
People have the classical I think this error is normal, because if the NDC could produce a brochure that is edited that was edited before the
yes.
and then we have certain
Patrick will be going on. You'll be going on, but then we understand that our society makes reservation for failure and also erroneous mistakes.
Just bringing it back to
yes, we understand that.
Even surprised the man is still at post.
Okay.
Yeah, surprised the man is still at post.
I think I have to allow you to make your point and then I come back.
Sure.
If we go into corruption, we don't compare people with NDC with corruption. We are far better in fighting corruption than these people. If any government is serious to fight corruption, they launched their 2020 manifesto just last week. Are you telling me you are comfortable with the way they fought corruption in this country? What is the way forward for corruption? Go to their comic relief manifesto. When I saw the manifesto team, I knew it was going to be a comic relief. Because from the chairman of the committee to the end person, they
said it was a service to the people.
Which service to which people? This is a disservice to the people of Ghana.
Can you tell us why?
Innocent pockets and we are moving about.
Can you tell us why?
He accepted on the show that his own people came out to tell us that the PDS deal was a scandalous deal. Monies were involved. As we speak to today, when PDS was in action, to today, we don't know how much they collected as tariff. Did they account to ECG? To today, we don't know where the monies have been given to. We don't know who are those keeping the monies. Who is in court for PDS? Who is in court currently for PDS? In a serious country, in a serious jurisdiction, our president shouldn't have been at post by now.
But someone will say the ruling government stated that they are aware that it was an erroneous mistake. When they have accepted their mistake.
Listen. Did we lose money in the PDS deal or not?
Yes, we did.
US was willing to sponsor us in the Millennium Compact deal. Because of PDS, we don't have that deal any longer. People are in the villages waiting for life just to see. We have this elite capture of state. They
stated that they deserve applause because if they did not realize their mistakes earlier, we could have lost the whole ECG assets.
PDS wasn't something brought into being by the NDC. If NDC brought PDS and they came to find something wrong with it, then we can applaud them. You sat in your offices with taxpayers' money in air conditions, and you managed to mastermind this PDS deal with your families and friends.
Wow.
You mastermind this deal with families and friends, and you're coming back to listen. The whole issue about PDS was that they knew that when the NDC came, they will be exposed, so they need to expose themselves ahead. Wow. John Bitameu was telling us that this was a corrupt deal. Even Control Pronkuma accepted that this was a corrupt deal. Who are those involved? Who are those facing the law? If you are telling me as a journalist that because somebody has come out to say that yes, PDS was scandalous, so we should allow them to go, then that means we can't fight corruption in this country. That means they can say they all blow their own horn, so we should allow them to go. That means they are married deal that the president signed. He was aware that they were about to defraud this country, but he used his signature to sign.
Yes, but we understand that. We understand that. Honorable Guachi Jako suffered.
He was just set up by his people.
But he was sad. That's what the NDC had been calling for.
No. Listen.
The people who are found culpable should be sad.
There is one thing fighting corruption, and there is one thing spoiling your own people. Guachi Jako was set up by the presidency to be sacked. And I'll tell you. I'm sure some of these based on advice. Was the American innovation deal different from Galancy's scandal? Was it different from the boss contaminated oil scandal? Why the current boss, the former boss contaminated, the one who stole the money at boss, who resigned? To save his face, he resigned. Today he's a parliamentary candidate for the NPP. That shows how they glorify corruption as a party. But the current MP for his constituency made it clear on the days of their primaries that his contender, who is also coming to fight with him, who was previously the boss CEO, is a corrupt and a thief. So they shouldn't vote for a thief to lead us. Your own party members are saying that. But so after all this, I'm asking that even if we accepted that you blow the horn that your people are corrupt, who are those standing to have for it? We're in this country, more allegation from the NPP. Landed people in jail. Today, Abu Gapele is in jail. We prosecuted our own. We showed to the Ghanaian how we are fighting corruption. John Dramani Mahama in his manifesto announced to us that he is launching an operation sting to fight against corruption. He was in power before. He was fighting against corruption. He prosecuted his own. He sacked his appointees. He don't want the public to call for them to be sacked. When Free Anchor, Honorable, went to Brazil and the scandal happened, they set up a committee. We all saw the committee live on TV. They investigated it, so we all saw what went on. Since the NDP came together to power, Tell me one corruption scandal.
But we understand that Mr. Afeavo, after he was, sacked from that ministry, he was sent back to the Flagstaff House as a staffer.
What was the committee reports after the
Good. Okay, what was the I think
Elliot report from me.
What
who the committee were. Yes. We saw we also
sure. Now Elliot, I think Patrick is making some fantastic points here. He's stating that they made their report. I think Mr. Patrick, you should allow me. They made their report a public document, and that is what he expects of that of the case of Honorable Pius Inam Hajide. That till today, and other people that till today we still have reports that exonerate them. That has not been And what is your position on that? Because he is stating that his party has been able to make those reports public documents.
So you see, we don't get to choose when and how we want committee reports to be accepted.
No.
Now, in the issue of Pius, when I stated that he was cleared by the committee of any corruption allegation, he didn't agree with me. But Isiama, he asked you that what was the recommendation of the committee?
Yes.
This is a classical indication of choosing when we want to accept. Bro, this is a classical. See, you don't give me the chance to allow him, but when I talk, you said we give him more time. Now, this is a classical indication. This is
corruption.
I think I have to keep quiet for him to start before I continue.
Allow him.
Now, this is a classical indication of choosing when to accept the recommendations of a committee. Now, it is public knowledge. It is public knowledge that anytime a government institutes or sets up a committee to investigate any issue or to regulate any program, the list or the members of that particular committee are made public. And then the recommendations of a committee has not been stated categorically in the constitution that it should be published for the general public.
What is the white paper?
Listen.
We don't live in a republic, in a banana republic. We live in a constitutionally regulated country. You get it? Now it would be criminal or be suspicious when you've requested for it and then you don't have it. Then you can make a case. When committees are set up and then they make their recommendations are presented to whichever official or whichever power that sets up that committee, and then that power is expected to do what? Is to look through the recommendations and then implement them. There is no way or there is no part of the 1990 Constitution that has been stated that anytime a committee presents its recommendations it should be published and then made known to the people. It depends on the intensity of the case and how people want to know about it. For instance, the Ayawaso West were gone by election violence. When the Emissions Commission were done with their work, the findings was made public. Even the Commission of Inquiry's activity was aired live on television. You get it? Right. So it is a different case of we have gone to ask for the information and we've not been given, and then we are sitting there to wait, or we are waiting for the information to be published. Yes, but before we go, we're about to take a short break. But before we go, I think Patrick was making a case that pressure groups, coalitions have agitated, requested for, I think, if you watch the recent GH1 encounter with Sami Genvi, he actually stated that they as a party had requested for the report that clears Honorable Pius Inam Hajide, but then to no avail. But then Elliot has been making statements. Okay, your last bite and
this can't be my last bite. I have done just a rebuttal. Now I would be a political newbie if I believe you see it is okay if you make your point without making a substantive case, but allow me to make mine. Now I'll be a political newbie, I'll be politically ignorant to say that I believe holistically the fact that Sami Genvi has come to sit on TV and say that the NDC has requested for certain information from the government and the government has not rendered it to them. Now, state agencies, even before the passing of the RTI, Right to Information Bill, no state agency in the country, unless that particular document is classified, should bar any state institution or any civil society from getting certain information. So if you request certain information from an institution and then you don't get it, you can proceed to court for the court to order the said institution to give you what you want. You get it? So you can't come in, a lawyer like Sami Jefi cannot come and sit on TV and tell me that he asked the ministry to give him this information and then they didn't give it to him and he started now I'm very sorry, but we are supposed to take a short breather. We are going for a short breather. Mr. Patrick, I'm begging you. So we are going for a short breather. Right after the breather, we'll continue with other topics. I mean, viewers, you can see how heated the studio is. My producers are all here. They can't contain the heat. So right after the breather, we are so live on the agenda on Campus TV. And don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. So we are still live on the agenda on Campus TV. It's been very interactive. I mean, the studios had been on fire. I mean, not literally on fire. And I think Mr. Elliot and Mr. Patrick, they are both enjoying the show, even though they did not come here to enjoy. I mean, I remember the words of Johnny of Tibete when he told Mr. Payas that he did not come to the show to enjoy. Did he? To have fun.
So I think we have to go straight to infrastructure. I mean, the contributions of both the NDC and the NPP on infrastructural development. Mr. Elliot, I'll start that with you. I think the NDC had stated a case that when it comes to infrastructural development, the NPP has no say when it comes to that. And they make it so emphatic that the Green Book is their working evidence. And that when you grab a copy of the Green Book, you shouldn't even have the tenacity to talk about infrastructure development when it comes to the NPP NDC debate. I mean, what's the position on that as a communicator of the NPP?
Well, this particular issue is two-sided, just like the Ghana Queen. Now, before I start, I would like to give the definition for the word infrastructure. Infrastructure is not a Ghanaian word, and as such, we cannot pick and choose how to use it. Now, the Oxford Dictionary defines infrastructure as basic physical and organizational structures and facilities. Example, buildings, roads, power supply.
On a lighter note, Elliot is a Pojoba, and I remember when back school was a debater, so I can see that kind of debating skills in him.
Power supply is needed for the operation of a society. I wanted to set the premise for my argument so that you know where I'm coming from.
Sure.
But in the debate of the NPP versus the NDC with regards to infrastructure, it has all been pegged at physical infrastructure. And I won't come and sit here and lie and talk like an ignorant politician. No, I won't do that. When it comes to physical infrastructure, I will give it to the NDC. They have built schools, they have built hospitals, they have established edifices and all that. That is good for them.
I don't think Patrick is so happy.
That also does not validate their point that the NPP has not embarked on infrastructural development, because I have read for you the original definition of infrastructure and how we ought to use it, not how we want to use it. You get it? So if power supply is an example of infrastructure, then ensuring that there is no more doom so is what? Infrastructure. Also, we must know that it is not compulsory. Yes, it's true. It is an English word. It is not for us to choose how to discuss it.
Yeah.
Now,
you stated that clearly from the dictionary.
Now, let's go back and look at governance and how it's supposed to be. Governance is supposed to be a continuation of administrations. Now, the NDC has come to establish, I think they built over 300 secondary schools, day schools, whatsoever. And then they built some hospitals. You can talk about the completion of the prestigious UGMC of the University of Ghana and all that, which is a good work. I would never speak against it because it is a good project they did. However, let's look at how those projects were put to effective use. I don't know if you know Academic City, which is now, I think, at
Hacho.
Yeah. Yes. there is this day secondary school there. Until the implementation of the free SHS senior high school program, that school could not even count 30 students, but that edifice was established. You get it? So the indication is that it is not a competition of building. It is about how you put to use effective resources of the country. I know that when the NPP was coming into office, they said they were going to establish 300 schools and all that. But when they came to office, they saw the reality on the ground. They saw that certain things need attention than the others. That is why we have the free SHS, which was to see to it that those schools that Mahama has built, former President John Dramani Mahama has built, do not go waste. You get it? So the free SHS policy has made use of those schools. Now we can also talk about the NAPCOs. We can also talk about the planting for fruits and jobs. We can also talk about.
That's right. I think my last question before we move to Patrick to also develop his point. The NDC had stated that most of the projects that were undertaken by the previous administration, led by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the former President of the Republic, the NPP abandoned those projects. Following the UGMC and also the Bank Hospital and also, some other hospitals that even they had to demonstrate, they had to send petitions, write letters back and forth before they were operationalized. Do you blame your own government, your own people? What was wrong? Is it financial crisis, or was it that, as the health minister stated in the case of the UGMC, they stated that the UGMC wasn't complete as we see it. They were supposed to make some final touches within the building to be able to operationalize it. What's your position?
Well, thank you for giving me my answer in your question. Now, first of all, I would say it's a coincidence that the UGMC was opened after certain students of the University of Ghana or certain persons in the country protested against the not opening of it. We heard from the Sector Minister of Health. We also heard from the Director of the UGMC. I think then it was Professor Lawson. He stated that although we see the building as established, as finished, when you get inside, they don't have clearance to employ health officials. They don't have certain equipment that would make the facility the state of the art as it was meant to be. So that was the reason why it wasn't established.
But someone would also say that it was due to the fight of the Ministry of Health and the School Management Committee that delayed the completion, because during the current launch of the NPP Manifesto, Mr. Omaru Sanda asked the Minister of Health concerning why they kept long. They stated that the fight between, or the scuffle between the management, the School Management Committee, and also the Ministry of Health contributed to its delay. Don't you think that contradicts the fact that you are saying that when it comes to infrastructure-wise, it wasn't ready for operationalization or something like that?
It doesn't contradict anything, because you asked me the follow-up in my submission, in my substantive submission.
No, I'm talking about the position of your party in entirety.
No. So, like he stated, that there was some administrative tussle or hassle between the University of Ghana management and that of government, because it's supposed to be a joint collaboration with regards to how to run the facility. Right. Now, I was making my points when you asked me the substantive issue. So let me continue and then end it. So we had the issue of financial constraints preventing them from employing people to work in the facility, and then we also had the issue of who is going to take care or who is going to administer or run the day-to-day activity of the facility. These were issues that were preventing the center from being open. But of course, we have the opponent or the opposition party that would exploit the inability of the government or the situation that is hindering the government from rolling out or opening the facility to use, or exploit it for their advantage. So it is not surprising that the opposition would say that the facility was open only after the protesters.
Yes, you have 30 seconds to wrap up.
Which really is not the case. Now, the Mahama administration built hospitals, but let us know that even with the hospitals, it was during that same period it was right from that period we're having the no-bed syndrome. We had people dying because they had to be transported in wheelbarrows, or so we had pregnant women dying on boats to hospital facilities and all that. The president came in and saw the need that now we have established hospitals. We also have to have mobile hospitals. And he brought in some 300 ambulances with four biomedical doctors to accompany them. Until then, from 1960 when Ghana became a republic till last year, the nation had about 36 public ambulances. You get it? So we see what this is doing. Now we can also talk about I think with Elliot, we don't have. I would have loved you to wrap up. I mean, you have 10 seconds there. Good. We can also talk about the zip line, which has already saved about 400 lives. Now, that is from the Ghana Red Cross Society. You can also check that. So this goes on to tell us that when it comes to governance and the administration of a country, it is not a competition of building projects, or it's not a competition of building schools or hospitals. It's about how to use effectively the resources of a country. So we have schools, but we don't have students to go into these schools, or we don't have students do not have the ability to go and study. So we bring the free SHS to see to it that these schools are effectively used. We have hospitals, but we do not have the means through which people would go, or people are still dying in their home because they cannot be commune from their homes to their respective health facilities around because of that. So to me, I think when it comes to the issue of infrastructure, it is not just about buildings. Yes, Brooks. When it comes to the issue of infrastructure, it is not just about rebuild. It is not a competition of building things. It's about how well we use state resources. It's about how well we do things. It's about how well we amend the needs of the people. You get it? So what good would it have done that there are already 300 established schools which are not being put to use?
So I think, I mean, we don't have all the times to make all clarifications. So because of that, I think I would have to move straight to Mr. Patrick. I mean, Mr. Patrick, Elliot had made a strong case. I don't know how his party is going to take it, but then he stated that when it comes to infrastructure, I mean, he would like to commend this government, but then not to say that the NPP has done absolutely nothing, I mean, as a contribution to the infrastructural development of this country. What do you make of that assertion?
Thank you, Frederick. I find it so scandalous. Like, I was so surprised when my friend was talking about the free SHS and NAPCO and those things in infrastructure. When Dr. Mahmoud Baobia went to have the town hall meeting at the Ghana Academy of Arts, his managers or he himself couldn't know the definition of infrastructure. When he went there, did you hear him mention about?
No. The vice president was talking about the contest.
Yes.
The contest.
Take a minute. Go to their infrastructure website.
Yeah, the delivery tracker.
The comedy side.
Well, I think it's very unfair. It's very unfair to name a whole government, website as a comedy. So I think you have to retract that. I mean, it would have to.
No, you just remove yourself from it. I still would that.
Okay, that's fine.
It was a whole comic and something that for people to laugh. How will you go and be posting one-seater toilet facilities on your website and tell me that this is a serious guy?
But what is it?
Let's be real. Let's continue with the issue. When Dr. Mahmoud Baumia went to launch that mediocre kind of thing, was he referring to free SHS? Was it? No. Was he talking about NAPCO?
Go on.
Go to their website and check if they have anything about free SHS on the infrastructure website. We are talking about infrastructure that can help people.
Yeah.
That can make time. See, let me give you an example. Second intention.
But they will tell you NAPCO has also come to.
What is the infrastructure?
Give people relief.
This is not infrastructure.
That's not to say that people are not enjoying.
I think I'm not supposed to ask questions on the show.
Yes, that's fine.
This.
Sure.
When Dr. Mahmoud Baumia went to launch the website, you do hear him mention free.
He was speaking in a contest.
No, on their website, on the infrastructure website. Just take a stroll.
No, I think the website is just a tool that leads you to the infrastructure development.
So what? Exactly. So the developments then was NAPCO part of the developments. Okay,
that was in the context of physical.
Past.
No, it wasn't.
So guys, what is it trying to say?
Can I make it? It seems
I'll give you time.
When you see them after Baumia went to make a joke out of everything at the Ghana Academy of Arts Center. When you see them on this thing debating, all is about free SHS. You ask them about infrastructure, he's talking about free SHS. Infrastructure. The UGMC hospital, what is it? That's infrastructure.
That is
but it's been operationalized by the government.
We before we left power, we went for the loan, we went for the grant, everything.
But they said,
it was in a document that the hospital.
They stated that they are stating that they purchased a lot of equipment into the facility.
No, were we not in this country when the same Minister of Health made an allegation that even standby generators for the hospital car were not there? It took Joy News to go there and go and fact check, and they said it's a lie. There were standby generators there. So let me talk about that one. Now allow me to talk about the infrastructure.
Now, Elliot,
I'll give you time to clear on that. I think.
When I talk about infrastructure, we're talking about things that transform people's life. Free NHS is good, but it's not an infrastructure.
It does not transform people's life.
This issue of we have a physical infrastructure, it doesn't hold. But now went there to always tell us that they build big hospitals, they build big schools. You should tell me one infrastructure that the people of Chebi and Jordan that his successors Nanadu Adanko Akufo-Addo. Under the Dramani Mahama administration, the Chebi water project, even clean water for them to drink was brought to them by John Mahama through his infrastructural achievement. You can't sit here and ridicule and say that affairs is just
clean water and infrastructure now.
No. Let me ask
is there an infrastructure now?
Is
it an infrastructure? Good.
Is it an
good?
It's
now,
something
can I come in?
No. But I think the viewers will see that you have made a strong case that has to be addressed.
Good.
So that will either exonerate you or expose you. So let me make that premise. You come back again. You come. Yes, you come again.
But for the respect of the viewers, I was sitting here quietly.
Yes, but you will come again. So Elliot, I'll give you opportunity.
Okay, since the house has given you the permission, I think I still have. Now, Patrick was mixing my statements. Now, I made my argument on two fronts: physical infrastructure and then organizational infrastructure, as we know the definition for infrastructure to be. Now, when Dr. Muhammad was talking about infrastructure, he was responding to a debate. That was called by the former president John Dramani Mahama on physical infrastructure. Now, before His Excellency Dr. Muhammad made that statement, he was responding to comments by former President John Dramani Mahama on things he has done, and he was specific about the kind of infrastructure he was talking about.
So he was talking about
roads. Oh, that's why I give it to you that when it comes to physical infrastructure, the NDC is ahead. I think Patrick will come, but then I would like to state on fact that Elliot actually made that assertion that when it comes to physical, I mean things we can see that the NDC is doing. I mean when it comes to hospitals and all those. So when we're talking about organizational infrastructure, I think the topic did not emphasize on the kind.
We are talking in relation with Dr. Baumia's town hall meeting.
No. Okay.
Did you go to no organizational infrastructure?
We are not limiting it to just that kind of. Now, my duty here is to dispute the fact that the NDC is saying the NPP does not have any infrastructural projects to their name, and I'm telling you that if you want to make that argument, then make sure that you have cross-checked organizational infrastructure and you have cross-checked physical infrastructure. If you come and you tell me that the NPP has done nothing with regards to physical infrastructure, oh cool, then I'll be looking at the promises that the NDC made with regards to infrastructure. I'm telling you how to argue. I think let's give Elliot 1 minute. I'll give it's not fair. Let the viewers judge. Now, let the viewers judge. Now, Brooks, I am saying that when it comes to physical, I came here to dispute one fact. That the one falsehood that the NPP does not have any infrastructure development to their name. Because when we talk about infrastructure, we have two components. We have physical and then we have organizational. When it comes to the physical, the NDC is way ahead of the NPP. But when it comes to the organizational, the NPP has done a lot. Now, if you were talking about physical
infrastructures, then I wouldn't have much to say. But then to poke into
What do we say that?
Allow me to end.
Yes, I think this question will sum everything up.
Okay.
I'm stating that is it the reason? I mean, is that the reason behind the fact that the leadership of the New Patriotic Party is stating that there's no relevance to have a presidential debate, especially or specifically on infrastructure, because in that context of that debate, it's talking about the physical, infrastructure. Is that the reason?
Well, that may be the case, but the leadership of the NPP has given its reason that it is not part of its manifesto, and it is not mandatory to hold. And it is not mandatory. And it is not mandatory in the electoral process. And it is not mandatory in the electoral process for anyone to debate. It is if I want that I will do it. Now back to the issue I was talking about. If you were talking about physical infrastructure, then I would come in to say that, well, we don't have a case, but even with the claims you are making, you are not supposed to have 5 seconds. You are not supposed to be making those claims because the NDC cancelled trainee allowances to say that they are going to establish.
This is not what we are saying.
So the NDC, the communicator of the NPP stating that NDC cancelled the trainee allowance. This is very interesting. Patrick, now you have the opportunity. Now, Elliot, I think Patrick, now you have the opportunity to make your case clear. I can see that you were heckling a lot, and you were saying that was a revenge because Elliot also initially was heckling you. Now, make your point. That's your last bite, then we end the show.
Brooks, I can't come on a show and it look as if I'm here to support what he's doing. This is not fair.
I'm not asking you to support
me. To talk about this. This infrastructure. Tell me one point I've reached so fine on the show.
Is it our
time to be speaking?
No. You made an emphatic statement. It was a strong case you made, and I asked him to address it because it needed answers, and we can't go on with the show without being addressed.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
So now you have
please.
Now you have a space to make your case clear.
You shouldn't call me again.
Okay, sure.
Let the
under one condition, don't misquote me and I'll be quiet.
Okay, I've heard it.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Go. And I have competent producers. Even if you misquote him, you are going to be fast checked.
Exactly.
Sure.
That's how we go.
Okay.
We are developing the country.
Sure.
Exactly.
Sure. So we don't have enough time, so you have to just make your case clear.
And all the NDP communities are talking about free SHS and this NAPCO and the rest. Listen, when Mr. Baumia went to the academic center, he's
a second gentleman.
Dr. Baumia.
Sure.
When he went to the Academy of Arts and he went to do his town hall meeting, he wasn't talking about organizational infrastructure. Tell me one organization infrastructure he mentioned at a particular event. He was talking about physical infrastructure. So our people shouldn't come here to choose what he wants to answer on your show. It's not done anywhere. Let's focus on the physical infrastructure. That's where we are going.
Yes, he is speaking, but he is speaking for the party. But
thank you.
As a communicator, he also has his, discretion. Yes.
I'm not.
Allow him to.
I haven't
Finish your comments. Yeah.
Go on.
When Dr. Baumia went to the town meeting, he was very clear what he was talking about. He was talking about infrastructure.
Good.
Based on the physical one we've seen. That's why he posted toilet facilities. That's why he posted AstroTech that never existed. Audio AstroTech projects on their website.
But they said they went to those areas and the people requested for those, facilities.
Exactly.
Yes.
We. Before the NDC came to power, before 2012, when
you have 30 seconds to end the show.
When John Mahama came to power, we made it clear to the people that when we are coming to build hospitals, schools, and sports stadiums and other things. When we came, we built sports stadiums in Ghana. The Cape Coast Stadium is an example. We built KJTR Market, one of the biggest in West Africa. We built the UGNC hospital, which was initially it was supposed to be one of the biggest hospitals in the West African country, so that doctors can even train at that place. That's what we built at the beginning. We built a whole international, airport, not international. We built a whole market. We built where Dr. Baumia went to have the town hall meeting. The Ghana Academy of Arts, that building. It was built by the John Dramani Mahama. We built sea defense projects in Keta. We were promised physical infrastructure by this government that they never delivered. Take into consideration the Keta port. We have a managing director of Keta port today, taking salaries. He doesn't even stay in Ghana, he stays out of Ghana. but you're taking salary for something that never exists, audio infrastructure. That's what we're talking about today. So you shouldn't be bringing faces just into what you are doing.
So I think we are bringing
this is not being
we are bringing the show to an end. I mean, it's difficult. It's actually difficult ending today's show. I think Mr. Patrick, in as much as you are making a point,
you are not saying you've been saying this for the past.
One history behind this particular show is that they've been having a debate behind the scenes, and this particular show is an extension of that particular debate. Mr. Patrick, I think our viewers deserve to listen to what is going on here, in as much as you want to settle your scores. So as you can see, we've been having heated conversation here. I mean, there is a history behind this particular segment or this particular episode. I mean, they've been having series of debates behind the scenes. So this actually was an extension of that particular debate. You are still live on the agenda on Campus TV, your most authoritative political platform. I remain your favorite host, Frederick Brooks. We'll be signing off, but before then, you have to follow our social media handles, campus.tv on Instagram, and also Campus TV GH on Facebook, and Campus TV on YouTube. We are still live here at the Nuertey University College. We'll meet same time next time, another time. Bye.